The last step in making the shawl is to finish off the top edge. You should have completed the lace edging, which casts off the stitches from two sides of the shawl and finishes up at the top edge with some stitches on your needle, which is the end of the lace edging. You knit across those stitches. You need to pick up stitches across the top of the old shell border, pick up the stitches across your stitch holder, or knit up the stitches off your stitch holder. Again, pick up stitches across the top of the old shell border and the cast on at the beginning of the edging, and then knit back. That just gives you kind of a neat foundation for finishing off the top edge. So the finish for the top edge is going to be a reverse stocking stitch I-chord. I-chord is a very useful technique for joining knitting, putting an edging on knitting, and also casting off. And in this particular version I'm doing a reverse stocking stitch I-chord. In other words, I'm working in purl rather than knit, so that it will have a textural finish similar to the garter stitch. When I knit an I-chord, I also usually use a needle one size larger than my main needle, as I make my I-chords quite tight. You may find that you can just use the same size needle and therefore just use the other end of your circular needle, or you may want a separate double pointed needle and you may want to go up one size. The first thing is to cast on 3 stitches. So this time I'm going between the stitches to work what's called a cable cast on. So I've cast on my 3 new stitches. Now I'm working this I-chord as a purl, a reverse stocking stitch, so I need to start with my yarn under my right needle, purl into the first stitch. So I'm going to purl 2, and then I'm going to join the third of my cord stitches to the shawl stitches, so I do a purl 2 together. Take the yarn around the back and slip the stitches across to the left needle. Pull the yarn across the back. You want it to be fairly firmly pulled across the back to make the cord tight. And then again I'm purling, so I'm going to purl 2, purl 2 together. Take the yarn across the back, slip the stitches back to the left needle, and as you can see I can slip 2 or 3 stitches at once. I don't have to do it one at a time. Again, we're going to purl 2, purl 2 together, take the yarn back, there you can see I'm managing to move all 3 at the same time because I just want to move them to the left needle. Having moved them, I can then tighten my stitches up by pulling the yarn around the back and purl 3, purl 3, 2 together. Sorry, purl 2, purl 2 together. Slip them back. So if I lay this down here now, we're getting a cord. Sometimes you just need to kind of pull it out a little bit to tighten up on the back there, but it gives you a finished edge to the top of the shawl. So you'll continue working the I-chord, the reverse stocking stitch I-chord, all the way to the far end, joining one stitch for every row. And when you get to the far end, you can purl the 3 together and pull the yarn through the last loop to cast off. Then all that's left to do is sew in your ends and block your shawl. So that's a reverse stocking stitch I-chord cast off for the top edge of your shawl.